Hi. Well, Casey, it's that time once again. It is that time once again. It is that time once again, my good friend. Since 1972, where this company was first established, we look at its legacy and history 50 years later. What started in 1974 from the World League to the MSG League to the IWGP League, controlled mostly by 10-time winner Antonio Inoki, that turned into the World Cup for 1 year, won by Roshichoshu in 1989. That became the pinnacle of professional wrestling, where you separate the greats from the best to the elites. Because here, you truly stand above the rest, for you are grade one. It is G1 Climax time once again for the 32nd time. So hello, everybody who watches this on live or on demand. You know what this annual platform is, for I am the Simple Man, and my name is Noah Foster. And with me once again is my NJPW correspondent, the Wrestling Encyclopedia, Casey Gallagher, where we're here to bring you our preview, predictions, and Bracketology 2 for G1 Climax 32. Casey, Yoshi Gessie Flash, good to see you, my friend. Here we are once again, 2022. Are you ready for what's ahead this year in the G1 Climax?
I'm as ready as a guy is gonna be for a 4-block, 28 competitor madhouse. Urigashimasu, Noah-san.
You can say that again, because yes, folks, this year they turned it into 4 blocks of 7 individuals, a 28 participant field this year. That is absolutely ridiculous, considering we have not had a 4-block G1 Climax tournament since the year 2000. And of course, that was won by I'm horrible at names. But that being said, this tournament has defined the likes of Hiroyoshi Tensei, Yuji Nagata, Shinsuke Nakamura, Hiroki Goto, Kenny Omega, Tetsuya Naito, Kota Ibushi, and of course, so many others. Togi Makabe. I could talk about the G1 Climax all night and all day. But with that being said, it's Sunday afternoon, and I'm sure we have other things to do. So with the fact the tournament is literally just a few days away, let's get right into it. So again, folks, if you want to check out the G1 Climax yourself, or the pinnacle platform of professional wrestling,
Damn it!
But I digress, then you could actually check out the first 2 days of this tournament for free on njpwworld.com. And the entire tournament will be with live ringside English coverage. Thank you, Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton. You both are crazy, but God bless you. And of course, njpwworld.com is the only way you can watch this. For further details, check out njpw1972.com. Okay, Casey, let's go ahead and preview our blocks this year. Because, yeah, they gave us 4 blocks this year. And I feel each block kind of has their own standouts, their own theme, and honestly, their own dark horse. We look at the A block here, and you got Lance Archer. You got debuting Drop Dog Jonah. Freaking got up! I'm going to leave that alone for now. I'm going to remain professional here. Toru Yano, Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, Filthy Tom Lawler, who of course was the former
Filthy Tom lawyer? He should be a lawyer with all the bull crap he pulls.
Hey, all I know is Team Filthy is one of the most definitive, aggressive things in professional wrestling, and what a run for the first ever strong openweight champion for NWW Strong. Finally, somebody has dethroned him in Mr. No Days Off, Fred Rosser, putting it all on the line in the end of the day. Congrats to him. And also we have Jeff Cobb, a guy who we thought was going to be maybe one of our key participants in the finals last year, but wasn't, and Bad Luck Fale. So this is interesting, Casey. We got a debut here. We got a return. Lance Archer, of course, he hasn't been involved in this thing now for 3 years. This will be his 6th entry. Toru Yano and Okada, they're part of the same group. Chaos, of course. We all saw how Toru Yano and Okada worked together in that 4-way for KOPW. In a way, Toru Yano kind of cost Okada that, even though he wasn't necessarily involved in the decision. And then you have Bad Luck Fale and Okada. They're no strangers to each other. Jeff Cobb and Okada. But Tom Lawler here is definitely the one that I feel is going to be out to prove a point. Not only with this being his debut in NJPW, in the most prolific wrestling tournament too. Your thoughts on this block overall?
I'm very intrigued by Jonah, Tom Lawler, and Bad Luck Fale. I believe this is Bad Luck Fale's first G1 Climax in quite a few years.
The first in 3 years, his 7th entry, correct?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bullet Club General brings to the table. But my big pick but I'm going to get it out of the way now. My big pick to win this match, especially considering everything that happened at Forbidden Door, is Jeff Cobb.
Really? So Jeff Cobb right now, you're calling to take the A block, you think, huh?
Yes, sir, and I'll tell you why.
Go for it.
Okada would normally be my number one pick for obvious reasons.
Yeah, considering he's a 3-time G1 winner, it's 11 consecutive.
And the defending G1 champion.
True.
However, think back to what happened last month.
He did lose that Dominion.
And he got injured at Forbidden Door.
Yep.
So, as much as Okada is going to be looking to reestablish himself, I really don't know if he's where he needs to be the Okada of old. Jeff Cobb, meanwhile, came this close.
Yes. With a 0-8 run. That is unprecedented in G1 history.
Jeff Cobb has not a chip. Jeff Cobb has a boulder on his shoulder.
Oh, no doubt.
He is going to be out for blood in this G1. And I honestly don't know if there's anybody that can stop him this year.
But the thing about this, though, that we're going to talk about with opening day, Jeff Cobb and Okada set the pace for A block because they're involved in opening day action. What's another?
And they were the final match of B block last year.
Yeah, exactly. And it's super weird how this continuity just seems to come around full circle. And for Jeff Cobb to get his win back over Okada in the G1, where you separate Tokyo Dome, New Japan Cup, other situations where, okay, he won the Waymaker. G1, though, is a victory in its own and literally can define you the rest of your career. Those who haven't won the G1 but have won over somebody pinnacle in the G1, and let's face it, Okada truly is the Mount New Japan Pro Wrestling. You've already made a name for yourself your whole entire career. But that being said, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Tama Tonga can attest to that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I did not see that coming. What a freaking win. And I still believe that led to bigger and better things, hopefully for Tama Tonga down the line, but currently not with Bullet Club. And maybe that was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back because, okay, maybe he was becoming more of truly a good guy versus a bad guy. Of course, he just lost the Neverweight Championship now to Carl Anderson, who's not even involved in the G1, and we'll have to see how that rematch somehow is brought back. But yeah, we got Lance Archer, who's coming back here. He's 0-5, by the way, against the Rainmakers. So that also might be another thing to think about here. Bad Luck Fale, he and Lance Archer, they're actually 1-1, trading respectable wins in 2018 in the New Japan Cup and the G1. Like you said, you pretty much hit the nail on the head when it came to Jeff Cobb. If Jeff Cobb beats Kazuchika Okada, that is the ultimate confidence booster for the Imperial unit to try and repeat his performance last year and go all the way. Indeed. Despite the shenanigans, when it comes to Toru Yano, he and Bad Luck Fale, I don't know what it is about those two. There's something there that just works with these two that can't stand each other, and I feel Yano does fear Fale. But he is the only one to give Bad Luck Fale his 1-5-1 in New Japan Cup victories back in 2017. Jonah, he's the top dog. He wanted to be welcome to the Forbidden Door. This will be his debut. And Jonah versus Jeff Cobb, I feel that's a pinnacle match to come here too, because that's literally the Imperial, what's that classic phrase? The Irresistible Force meets the immovable objects. Because again, Jeff Cobb, he used to be that Mushi type of man, always got the people, but now he's in this for himself, for the United Empire. Tom Lawler, he's going to be out to prove a point. And if he could get a win over Okada, he's already raised his stock further than anybody else I feel like can in the G1 based on what he did with the strong overweight championship. So this match is going to be interesting. And as far as Jeff Cobb being your pick to win it, I think about this, though, man. Okada, Inokiism. Remember, Antonio Inoki, when this thing first started, he was 10 times over owning this freaking thing. Okada's looking for number 4. And Okada, he's no stranger finding his way back up from the bottom. And he's very good at that. It's really hard to bet against the Rainmaker. So we'll see if your fruition does come true. But this is going to be definitely an interesting block to say the least. And Okada's got to be prime target again. three-time G1 Climax winner, 2012, 2014, and of course, 2021. And this is 11th consecutive. Injury be damned, especially in the G1, because again, there is no rest or reprieve in this type of environment. So good luck to everybody here, but overall, I'm still going with Okada. You got Cup, I got Okada. Good stuff so far. Let's go ahead and move on to our next block, B block, which I find a bit more interesting from a technical wrestling standpoint. When you got the likes of Sonata, who calls himself New Japan's New Hope, who always wrestles on his own merit and style. Then you have Great-O-Khan, all hail. Of course, he's a guy that has really just come across the New Japan scene and developed his own identity and really his own crowd appeal, especially here in America. Ayo. Then of course you have the crown jewel Chase Owens, Switchblade Jay White, good bad guy. I think he's still a good bad guy. Tama Tonga, the Holy Emperor, Taiji, and my boy, and this is the guy who always watched in the G1 Climax. You've never seen him in action before, Stone Pitbull. And I still say to this day, if he didn't get injured, he probably would have been the friggin' first ever All-Atlantic champion, Tomohiro Ishii. Casey, your thoughts about this block, considering it has the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion in the middle of it? Because now, Jay White, he has to literally defend his title here, because honestly, somebody beating him, that literally counts for a title match in some ways.
Yes, indeed. And that, for me, is what makes this block the most intriguing block just by the field in this G1 this year.
2019 finalist, by the way, Switchblade Jay White.
Yes.
He's done everything except win a G1, but he is also the very first man to take the contract off a previous winner.
That, of course, being Kota Ibushi.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Now, the match, there's actually quite a few matches here that intrigue me, so I'm going to skip straight to the end here, and I don't know if I can pick a finalist out of this block, but I can give you my top four.
Okay, fair enough. But I do agree. This one intrigues me the most because I can see this going several ways.
Several different ways. But I have a feeling one of these four is going to claim it. It's either going to be Ishii, Sonata, Great-O-Khan,
all hail,
or the champ.
All right.
And for more reasons than one, I'm kind of leaning towards the champ.
It's the one thing in his illustrious career he has yet to do. Well, technically two things. And that is win the G1. Yet he was able to bear the prize of the G1 last 2 years ago and literally find his way into Wrestle Kingdom main event and wrestle for 47 minutes, still come up short. Jay White, of course, is fourth entry, first in 2 years. The Holy Emperor Taiji, fourth entry, fourth consecutive. Tama Tonga, his fifth entry, second consecutive. We got my boy Tomohiro Ishii, G1 Climax MVP. You will soon see what I freaking mean. 10th entry, 10th consecutive. Sonata, who, might I add, is a former G1 Climax finalist. This will be his 7th entry, 7th consecutive. Great-O-Khan, all hail. Second entry, second consecutive. And again, he didn't have the strongest score, but it was the performances that definitely kept people watching him particularly. And Chase Owens, his second entry and second consecutive. When I think about this block, though, there's one match that always piques my interest, and that is Tomohiro Ishii versus the Holy Emperor Taiji. To think Taiji, one of the dark saints, the black sheep of New Japan Pro Wrestling, when you think about the way he came in, the way he was perceived, but then you think about the way he became. Taiji and Ishii are actually 1-1 in G1 Climaxes. Taiji beat Ishii in 2019. Ishii beat Taiji in 2020. The funny thing is, though, in 2019, it was Taiji that pretty much asked for Tomohiro Ishii to kind of bring his best to him, and he did. Not just during New Japan Cup, but also during Dominion, where, of course, Ishii took him and became the new never openweight champion at the time. These two have kind of been at each other's crosshairs since 2009, when their first singles encounter happened on the New Japan circuit. So, again, these two right here, that's the match for me to watch when I think about Taiji and his evolution as a pro wrestler lately, especially in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Sonata and Jay White, they literally faced each other one-on-one before, back, I believe, Castle Attack. No, it wasn't Castle Attack. It was New Beginning, excuse me. And it was, of course, Jay White, who got the win there. It was about the same time. And I look at these other ones right here. Tama Tonga has been waiting to get his hands on Jay White ever since Jay White kicked GLD out of Bullet Club. Now he finally will. There is no running. There is no escape. Well, except for a 30-minute time limit. Because, of course, in these matches, they are 30 minutes, time limit draw, 2 points for a win, 0 for a loss, 1 point if each person draws. And that's pretty much how this is decided.
Yes.
And then,
now that being said,
yes.
You're talking about the 30-minute time limit draw. I don't know that even Jay White can freeze for 30 minutes.
Well, he could definitely try and run the clock. And when it comes to Jay White, he is a guy that exercises a lot of in-ring psychology, likes to really control the pace of a match, and really wear his opponent down more psychologically than physically. That's kind of been his MO ever since being a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And truth be told, it's worked to his favor. And again, pinnacle matches here, as I look at some of my notes I took from NJPW 1972. The match for Jay White that could define his block is against the Stone Pit Bull, Tomohiro Ishii. It was, of course, 1G1 that literally Ishii was the guy to stop Jay White from winning the block in the first place. And, of course, Jay White, he found renewed confidence in himself beating Tomohiro Ishii back at Castle Attack. Ishii is the guy who literally is out there to fight anybody, anywhere, anytime, no matter his condition, no matter what people say. And I swear, if it was up to Ishii, despite a knee injury, he probably would have been at the Forbidden Door. But I digress.
Yes,
the thing
indeed.
about Sonata, he wrestles his own style, of course, in favor towards a great Muda, those he looks up to. He not really is a striker. He more is a technical ground-based wrestler, more methodical approach. And against Ishii, that type of style honestly could make a very interesting match. But also, when I look back at the match cards, Ishii and Sonata, I think, is the last match, particularly for this block. And that could be decided between one of those two actually winning this thing. And then Great Khan, all hail. I really wonder how he and Taiji can coexist based on their type of styles. Taiji, of course, who adopts that sumo-type background. And then you have Great Khan with the Mongolian type of background. And NJPW, like King's Row style. So I'm really interested to see what that could lead to. So those are just a couple of my thoughts here. And, of course, we saw Great Khan, all hail, and Sonata wrestle each other one-on-one back at Wrestle Kingdom, where Sonata did get the win in the end. And I wonder if that hubris will come back to bite Great Khan here, or did he learn his lesson? So there's a lot of interesting back-and-forth matches for me here. Very pinnacle stuff. JJ, what's up? Good to see you, brother. Folks, follow the Renegade, Casa D18 Studios for all your movie reviews. Stay tuned for me and the Renegade to bring you more play-by-play WWE stuff come SummerSlam. But for
and
now,
follow everybody on the Jeff Meacham Network.
Daggone right. And buy a shirt. Buy all the shirts. Why not? Just saying. All right. But yeah.
So really quick, before we move on, you were talking about your pinnacle matches.
Yeah.
I've got two.
Go for it.
One is Tama Tonga and Jay White.
Yeah, for more reasons than one.
Yep.
Personal.
And the other, mainly for the work rate these two have, is Ishii and Chase Owens.
Really? Chase Owens and Ishii, huh?
Oh yeah, those two are gonna go to war. People sleep on Chase Owens mainly because he doesn't quote unquote do a whole hell of a lot within Bullet Bullet Club. When the spotlight is on, this man will prove everybody wrong. And against a guy like Ishii, you better damn well believe the spotlight will be on Chase Owens. And I think he's going to surprise you in that match. Keep an eye on that one.
All right. I think that's fair. Like I said, these blocks do have a dark horse. I feel like Chase Owens, he literally might be that because I think you might be right. People might be sleeping on him considering this field. We all know the history of him and Tama Tonga as well and Tonga Loa. I mean, these two used to have respectable bouts. They literally help raise each other up. Definitely is not going to be the same thing here. So with Tama Tonga having a vendetta against the Bullet Club, Chase Owens and Jay White, watch out. That's all I got to say about that. But, yeah, when it comes to the A block, I'm like, you got the mountain. When it comes to the B block, I feel like you got more exploration. Now, when it comes to the C block, Casey, you can take away this one and give your opening thoughts towards this, because good grief.
This is the block to watch if you want never open weight caliber matches all the way throughout. Because we have strikers and technical masters for days.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, break it down, man. Where you begin?
You begin with the ace, honestly. Hiroshi Tanahashi.
That's probably fair, considering this is his 21st G1 Climax, and he is also a three-time winner and a three-time finalist.
And the fact of the matter is, he's probably spent more time in the G1 than anybody. I believe he's got like 250 plus matches in the G1 under his belt. At
least, and we could get Chris Sampson to confirm on that. Follow Chris Sampson for all your statistics, folks.
or Mike Caldwell. He could look that up for us.
That's true.
If you want to keep it local to the Jeff Meacham network.
Yep, sounds just that boy. Anyway, continue.
And then you have the Savage Warrior Hiroki Goto representing Chaos. Only won one time in 2008, but it was probably the most emotional ride in the entire history of the G1.
And he also has the second most work rate, I would think, at least out of this entire field. This is his 15th consecutive G1 Climax.
Yes, indeed. So he is going to be out to prove that he can still teach everybody else in the field a thing or two. Keep your eye on the Savage Warrior. Speaking of eyes, keep your eye on Tranquilo.
Let's just put it out there, Casey. Last year, Tetsuya Naito did not participate in the G1. He got taken out in the very first match by the person that is also in the same block with him again this year.
So Naito is going to have quite the chip on his shoulder. Zach, you better watch out, mate.
Well, I would not count out Zack Sabre Jr. again. He was on a tirade in his block, submitting everybody until Tomohiro Ishii broke that streak.
Yes. So, and you were talking about Jay White having done just about everything in New Japan besides win the G1. You can apply that to Zach as well.
Dangerous Techers, yep. Two-time New Japan Cup winner, multiple-time IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champion, former British Heavyweight Champion. He currently has not been the never openweight champion, but this will be Zack Sabre Jr.'s 6th consecutive G1 Climax. And again, he's already got a chip on his shoulder considering that loss to the surprise entrance at the Forbidden Door. So that match with Bryan Danielson is definitely still going to be someone I feel that's going to be wearing on his mind, but he's going to reset himself to remind us why he is the absolute best technical wrestler on the planet.
And he's got some new blood here to deal with as well. The debuting Aaron Hanare in the G1.
And Aaron Hanare is getting endorsed by a boxer, apparently, part of Night Empire 2, and that's no joke. This is whoa.
So we'll see what he brings to the table. He's got a lot of stiff competition here. I don't necessarily expect him to take the block, but I definitely expect him to put in an impressive showing for a debut competitor. So keep your eye on Aaron Hanare.
The United Empire, they're about for themselves. He is Mr. X for a reason. That X might be wild card.
You want to talk about wild cards? We now come to Kenta.
Oh, boy. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world, Kevin. He literally should be the guy that owns all New Japan.
Well, whether or not you agree with that, you cannot deny that this guy, for ages, was basically the Ric Flair of Japan. So I got a
no doubt. 4th entry, by the way, 4th consecutive G1 Climax, and he's had pinnacle matches with several of these men, including Zack Sabre Jr., which I feel is one of those matches to definitely watch out for here.
Yes, indeed. And another match to watch out for, even though you probably would rather not watch any match this guy is in, and I don't blame you.
yes.
Kenta versus Evil is going to be very intriguing to watch.
Bullet Club, but it's House of Torture Bullet Club versus regular Bullet Club. And of course, Evil, this is his 7th consecutive G1 Climax. At least the House of Torture finally lost the 6-man Overweight Championships. Thank God.
Yeah. Thank Christ for that.
I digress.
And, of course, Evil will have plenty of company in not just Bullet Club, but as far as House of Torture goes, Because whether or not any of them were in the G1, you know they were going to be accompanying Evil to ringside.
And you also know he has Parade Dick Togo in his corner as well, which will literally make sure every match has the same thing. I hope Abe-san moves that ring table away from the barricade.
Like, please, we don't need any more.
He doesn't deserve that. It's so unnecessary. Jeez, oh, peace. Anyway, bleh.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah, it's quite a field here, Casey. So, what's one of the key matches that you think is going to be like a standout to really watch out for her? You said Hanare yourself. He's debuting. He's untested. He also is, at this point, really unknown because, honestly, this is his biggest test for himself today as far as his growth goes, outside being a young lion.
Well, my pinnacle match to watch is obviously going to be Zack and Naito because it was one of the more pivotal matches to open the G1 last year.
Yep. He took Naito out.
He took Naito out, quite literally. So, again, Naito is going to be out for blood. Well, and I'm gonna be honest. Those two are 2/3 of my picks to take this block. The other being Kenta.
Wow. Yeah, Kenta. I feel like, and hello BCS for life on Twitter. Kenta's one of those that I feel like has this constant chip on his shoulder, but he's always kind of out to prove a point. We also know Kenta has his Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, they had a ridiculous match at Wrestle Kingdom over the IWGP United States Championship, where Hiroshi Tanahashi ascended from the heavens with a high fly flow that sent Kenta straight to hell, and he claimed the championship. Tanahashi, of course, also just recently beat Goto at Dominion, so I'm sure Goto's going to be looking for that win, and what's honestly been a rivalry since these two have been involved in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You could count how many times that Naito and Tanahashi had traded victories amongst each other. And it seems like they really like fighting each other to a degree, if you could say that. And, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tanahashi. I mean, honestly, those two owned the year 2019 with their bouts back at G1 Supercard and Royal Quest regarding the British heavyweight championship. But
I would probably say that Kenta and Hiroshi Tanahashi have the Naito and Kota Ibushi gimmick. They like fighting each other, just with 50% less neck.
Well, yeah, and thank gosh for that, right? Yeah, but of course, Naito, I wonder if he even still has, care for his neck, let alone his knees. And I wonder how his knees are as well. And obviously, that's what Zack Sabre Jr. is going to exploit again, because that literally is what took Tetsuya Naito out last year. And speaking of,
if he's smart, Aaron Hanare will do the same.
Well, Aaron Hanare, though, since he's being, endorsed by that Vargas guy, I mean, he's more so looking at his striking game. I think he's working more so on his boxing type stance and background. And with that type of influence, it's going to be really interesting to see how that affects his G1 performance, especially dealing with somebody that's more technically sound, like Zack Sabre Jr. And the thing about Zack Sabre Jr. and Kenta, these two have been at each other since Pro Wrestling Noah back in 2011. Kenta with a 201 record, Zack Sabre Jr. beating him back-to-back, by the way, in G1s. Zack Sabre Jr., he has not beaten Kenta since 2019. So Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be out to prove a point here in this block in more ways than one. And, of course, Ishii beat Zack Sabre Jr. Last year, too. So there's a lot, I feel, chips on Zack Sabre Jr.'s shoulder, particularly here, too. So while Aaron Hanare is out to prove a point on behalf of the United Empire, Evil, let's just exercise that out, okay? No one wants to see Evil in the final. Nobody wants to see that. Naito, he's going to be out to prove that if I wasn't taken out, I could win this. Because for Naito, he's out for one thing, and that's to be in the main event of the Tokyo Dome and win it. Period. That's what he wants. Tanahashi, he's the guy that you never count out the ace. So
he's also literally done everything.
Right, but he still keeps going. It's like you think he's done everything, but in his mind, he still has not done enough. Pinnacle matches for me here. I think about Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenta. I think about Tanahashi versus Kenta. I think about the bad blood that no doubt is forever going to fester between Evil and Tetsuya Naito. But more so, I feel that's Evil that needs this win more, because if Evil doesn't win it here against Naito, you might as well already count him out, because that once again shows that what you did, you were wrong. You cannot surpass me. We all saw how short his run was when he actually had the two titles. Just saying. And then, of course, the most pinnacle match for Tetsuya Naito, it's got to be Zack Sabre Jr. Because if Naito can't get past Zack Sabre Jr., he's already going to probably be back on the injury reserve list.
Yeah. I'm also quite intrigued by Aaron Hanare and Hiroki Goto.
Yeah, considering these two, they fought each other multiple times back when Aaron Hanare was a young lion, and might I add, training through NJPW Dojo, where Goto has been a coach. So there's a lot of contrasting effects there, I feel like, as well. But also, you think about the influence of, you know, Toa Hanare back when he used to work with the Ace in New Japan versus Tanahashi. So the matches with Tanahashi and Goto might be Hanare's proving ground when it comes to maybe being even thought about for future G1 Climax appearances. But
Is that really a new concept though? The G1
no,
is like the ultimate proving ground for competitors.
no, you kidding me? If you can't survive the G1, then you can't survive to go above and beyond what you think you can be in professional wrestling. And if you're part of the G1, you are out to set a standard for yourself and then exceed those expectations going forward. We've seen how people have gone for the G1 and it's changed them in loss or defeat, especially when it comes to a pinnacle win. And again, if you don't win this block, you could play spoiler here, and that could be the moment people remember more versus the winner. So as far as this block goes, my front runner for me, it's got to be Zack Sabre Jr. Because again, if Zack Sabre Jr. is not dealing with the Stone Pit Bull at this moment, but somehow you find Zack Sabre Jr. and Ishii somehow meeting up again, maybe towards the finals, considering how these four blocks, really meet out in the end, like 2 and 2, or I don't see a four-way, obviously. I just feel like right now, Zack Sabre Jr. is out to win one thing he hasn't yet and prove why he's the best in the world. Naito is out to redeem himself from last year's performance because at the end of the day, injured out of match 1, out of the entire rest of the thing. And Kenta's always had that chip on his shoulder, and Tanahashi, he's no stranger to the Tokyo Dome, and he's a former G1 Climax winner himself. So those are my key takeaways for this block. But I think what you basically summed it up as is pretty much fair to say. And that just leaves one more block as we go to a block that is a little bit odd, but you want to talk about proving ground? A lot of these men are going to be out to prove something because honestly, I feel like I'm looking at my winner out of two people. Because you got ELP, David Finlay, Yoshihashi, Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, Juice Robinson, and the Tokyo Pimp, Yujiro Takahashi. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there right now. Yujiro's not going to win this block. He's in this G1 for one reason only, and you know why. Spoiler, because he wants to make sure that Evil has little to no realistic competition. You look at this block, there are key threats here to Evil. But that being said, we saw how ELP and the former Ariel Assassin Will Ospreay had a classic at King of Pro Wrestling a couple years ago for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and this was after a tsunami affected all New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you thought they were like buddy-buddy when it came to that type of scenario. They weren't. But we've seen how Will Ospreay has evolved. ELP has not. He's still stuck in his ways, but he, no doubt, still one of the most incredible athletes on the planet. David Finlay, of course, this is his G1 debut. I love the fact that each one of these blocks pretty much have a debuting competitor. So David Finlay, of course, he's going to be out to really show that he can stand out here, especially against his former tag team partner, now Bullet Club, Rock Hard, Juice Robinson.
That's probably my pinnacle match of this block.
I agree 100% because we're really going to see, okay, who really was the standout for that team, Juice? Can you actually make it out on your own? Mate Az still in possession of the IWGP United States Championship, but he is not the champion. That is Will Ospreay. And something tells me Will Ospreay is going to take that off him by force during this block. You want to talk about force, though?
He better.
Yeah, you want to talk about force, though? The match of this block, when it comes to just the match, dude, it's got to be Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi. Are you kidding me? Look at this. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you really don't need to say much more.
No, I don't, except that Shingo Takagi, this is his fourth consecutive G1 Climax, and he currently still is KOPW 2022 holder after winning a 10-minute scramble against the Holy Emperor, Taiji. I thought that was actually very fun. I love what KOPW has become now that it's no longer in the hands of that freaking goofball. But I digress. I'm fine. Juice Robinson, his fifth entry, the first in 2 years. Yujiro Takahashi. Just bring Peter. Ninth entry, third consecutive. Will Ospreay, third entry, first in 2 years. Yoshihashi, he fights with heart. That really is what carries this guy. That's why he is involved in this, despite maybe his win-loss record. Sixth entry, third consecutive. Like I said, David Finney's debuting, and ELP. This is also his debut as well. So, Casey, your thoughts on this block?
You pretty much just said it all for me, man. The two pinnacle matches, David Finlay versus Juice Robinson and Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi. I honestly can't count out ELP, though, to take this block. He is literally that talented.
Yeah, too bad he doesn't know how to showcase it. Good grief.
Yeah, right?
I mean, look at what happened during Best Super Juniors, okay? He got all the goofy mannerisms, and he fell to El Desperado and fell out of being out of the finals. But I digress. Continue.
It's probably down for me to ELP, Osprey, and Takagi. Those three have been in the picture for ages. You really can't count either one of them out.
Former best of Super Juniors right there. Definitely finals. I mean, ELP at one point looked like he was going to win that, but didn't. Of course, with Osprey and Takagi, their very first real encounter one-on-one with each other was when the Arrow Assassin slayed a dragon. It's almost like those two are destined to fight forever against each other.
And it is pretty much always destined to be a hell of a match.
Instant classic, according to Dave Meltzer.
Is he wrong, though?
I'm not. I can't deny that he's not wrong in the quality of the wrestlers that he does give these type of accolades to. That doesn't necessarily add more to your wallet, but apparently gets people's attention. So there you go. And of course, Osprey and Takagi, they recently have fought each other in the New Japan Cup final. Well, Osprey won that. We saw when Osprey and Takagi fight each other one-on-one over the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Well, Osprey won that. Well, Osprey, I think, has had Shigeru Takagi's number for the better part more often.
So Takagi might be due for one.
Possibly. I mean, again, he is resetting himself. Now it's KOPW after, being at the top and then falling to the mountain, Kazuchika Okada. But also Juice Robinson, who calls himself still IWGP United States Champion. Honestly, if he beats Will Ospreay here, he might have a point. But I feel Ospreay is about to finally knock his head off and take that title from him by force with a hidden blade. And again, if people did not see Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy, you're not a professional wrestling fan. That match, good God. Upset.
I think it's wise to include a disclaimer.
Well,
so don't watch if you're a Will Ospreay fan with heart problems.
Hi, Jeff. Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Yoshihashi Yujiro, I mean, that might literally lead to maybe a future never openweight tag team championship affair since, again, Chaos just took those titles off of the House of Torture. Yay. So we'll see if the Pimp King versus that Bolo staff that Yoshihashi takes come into play here at all, too. But I don't know. And again, like you said, ELP, so much talent in the world. Could definitely win this thing if he wants to. And that's like he wants to. So we'll see. But yeah, right now, I'm just looking at two particular people taking this block. And that's either Will Ospreay or Shingo Takagi. And honestly, I feel like Shingo Takagi kind of needs it more.
After the past couple of years, I can't disagree.
Well, there you go. All right. So those are our blocks. And again, it is a who's who of debuts, returns, ace names in each block too. And again, we've seen shockers, we've seen upsets, we've seen all types of crazy shenanigans. So let's go ahead and talk about what's ahead on opening day 1, which again, folks, the G1 Climax begins this week. You can catch it for free this day, for free. Free? On
free?
Yes, for free on NJPWWorld.com. July
the king of sports streaming.
There you go. Hello, Kevin Kelly. Of course, the first day kicks off July 16th. Mark your clocks accordingly. 1 a.m. Pacific time, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 9 a.m. British Standard Time. And you are looking at the very first matches of each block. And Casey, you already might literally define your A block winner here. Okada versus Jeff Cobb is literally the rematch, like you said, for the block last year. And what's interesting about the rest of these matches, their first time ever's in the G1 Climax. So there's no G1 record, particularly with these other three. But looking at this, I think about Aaron Henare. If you can win against the ace, you've already set yourself up for good pace. And that literally could define the rest of your block. Will Ospreay and ELP, that's a hell of a start for the D block. And we'll see what this Commonwealth Kingpin does against this ELP versus what the Aerial Assassin did against ELP. Sonata and Jay White, it's a very sound, technical bout. And against Sonata, if you can lock Jay White in the Paradise Lock and Gato too for that matter, that might be the difference maker. Because Sonata, he's a guy to not easily get rattled, but he also is aware of Jay White's games. And last but not least, which obviously is going to be in the main event, or it should be, I think, it's going to be freaking Okada and Jeff Cobb. So your
That
thoughts on this
absolutely should
opening?
be the main event.
Your thoughts on this opening day, Casey? Who you see with each match maybe setting the pace?
Cobb definitely for A block.
The A block. And by the way, I'm looking at the actual full card because before this, there's tab previews, there's Young Lion showcases. Royce Isaacs will actually be involved on the opening day, which is pretty cool, as well as TMDK. But yes, the G1 matches go in the following order: the C block first, the D block, the B block, the A block is the main event.
As it should be.
So C block, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Aaron Henare, since, transitioning from Hontai to United Empire back in 2021, introduced as X. We've kind of seen Aaron Henare, like everybody in United Empire, carry this like chip on their shoulder. So I'm very curious now how Aaron Henare tries to prove himself against the Ace.
I don't necessarily see him being successful because it's the Ace. Tanahashi and Okada are very hard to bet against.
Exactly.
But, and in this case, I'm probably going to end up giving this one to Tanahashi. But this will be absolutely not necessarily a trial by fire, but a baptism of fire for Aaron Henare. This is where he learns what it takes to score wins in the G1. And I feel like this is the match that will define how he approaches the G1 from here on out.
Right. We go to the D block. You have Will Ospreay, the Commonwealth Kingpin, versus the headbanger ELP. Their record overall is 3-3. And we've seen literally it was ELP who made his debut. He got the better of who? Will Ospreay. We saw back in the New Japan Cup this year where Will Ospreay, of course, he was able to advance beyond ELP, who was having a mental block since his sudden death was exposed back at Wrestle Kingdom. But now he says that block is no longer over his head. I am free and clear to use the super kick, and I trust it now. And that might be the difference maker. So without sudden death, can ELP get it done against Will Ospreay, who already has a massive chip on his shoulder for more reasons than one? Again, former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. And in a way, he still feels like he should be that.
Honestly, this is one of those matches that could go either way.
Or to a draw.
Yep. But for my money, I'm going to pick ELP to win here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oof.
Specifically because I feel like Ospreay is more focused on Juice Robinson than he is a G1 victory. And I believe ELP will exploit that. And losing to ELP, a member of Bullet Club, will fire Ospreay up that much more for when it finally comes time to face Juice.
Fair enough. I wonder if Juice actually might get involved here too, because again, Bullet Club, it seems like you never fight alone. So you honestly might be onto something there. And of course, Will Ospreay has gotten the better of ELP the last 3 straight occasions, it seems. So we'll see. We move to the B block, though, where, again, this is definitely going to be an interesting match because the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, what this tournament's all about, see who faces this man or if he controls his own destiny heading towards Wrestle Kingdom once again. We, of course, are talking about Switchblade Jay White taking on Sonata. And, again, these two have only had one other singles encounter, like I said before, where Jay White got the better of him. And now these two come back converging underneath the G1 Climax in the opening day. Sonata has always been that guy we wanted to see go to that next level. We want to see him succeed. Of course, being a former IWGP United States champion, his first real single strap in his New Japan Pro Wrestling career, unfortunately vacated due to injury. And that's also got to be wearing down on Sonata as well, considering he's not in the same block as the actual champion. But this right here could definitely be, I feel, a standard for Sonata to set himself up on a much brighter second half in New Japan Pro Wrestling this year, Casey.
Yes, indeed. But doesn't necessarily mean it's going to start off the way he wants.
No.
Personally, I'm picking Jay White to win this. But look out to see Sonata pulls some stuff that we haven't seen before. There's a
Oh,
very
that's true.
good there's a very good reason I say never to sleep on the Cold Skull.
Right. That's
But
very true.
but keep in mind, you've also mentioned anyone who beats the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion pretty much puts themselves in line for a shot later on.
Kenny Omega, Tomohiro Ishii, just saying.
Yep.
Still one of my favorite G1 Climax matches of all time.
Which I still need to go back and watch. That was
You do.
29. That was at the Cow Palace, wasn't it?
No, it was during the G1. Although they did face off in the Cow Pass for the inaugural IWGP United States Championship. Where
Right.
Kenny Omega
That's
did win.
probably the match I'm thinking of.
Either way, the both of those matches were incredible. But yeah, I do get what you're saying. And again, Jay White, he doesn't give a dang about history except carving his own legacy, his own history. For him, this is just, okay, another day proving why I am the absolute best professional wrestler in the world. I am the draw. I am the champion for the reason. I am the man that single-handedly sold out. You get the idea.
I am the Nostradamus of pro wrestling. Everything I say comes true.
Simple as that. And ironically, he's been right for the most part. That's scary to say, too. Jeez. And moving on from there, I mean, again, you've already talked about how important this match is. The main event of opening day. The A block, the Mountain, Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada, former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, taking on the Imperial Unit, Jeff Cobb. Their overall singles record is 3-1. Okada, in which the G1 record to Jeff Cobb right now is 2-0 in Okada's favor. And again, it was last year that pinnacle victory that propelled Okada into the finals, and unfortunately, due to circumstances, at the end of the day, Okada won the G1 Climax. Again, Casey, like you said, in your opinion, this honestly could be your match to determine the A block winner.
And it has to be Jeff Cobb after how close he came to beating Okada last year. Jeff Cobb is he is beyond keyed up for this matchup, and with Okada technically still on the mend, there ain't a whole lot left to stop the United Empire's Imperial Unit.
Again, coming in last year, he went 8-0.
Ran the table until
everybody.
Okada.
He ran everybody except for Okada. He couldn't stop the rain. But what's funny is after the G1, as we saw, because this is the first time in a couple years the G1's finally taking place during normal times in the summer. Yeesh. Because last year, of course, was like the fall. It was Jeff Cobb that got the bit of Okada in the Tokyo Dome at Grand Slam. So right now, can Jeff Cobb get it done on this stage? Again, the G1 Climax stands out from all the rest in New Japan Pro Wrestling stages and marquees. So again, for Jeff Cobb, this literally might be do or die. Because honestly, a victory over Okada, that could be the one tiebreaker you need to win this block.
Yes, indeed.
So we'll see soon enough.
Yes, we will. 6 days from now. Mark your calendars, people.
Yep, because again, we are not only going to get day 1 free, we're also going to get day 2. How nice, by the way. They're giving us the first 2 days for free in New Japan Pro Wrestling NJPWorld.com. So let's go ahead and slowly talk about day 2, because honestly, day 2, you can kind of say the same thing for a couple of these matches here, considering I see particularly in B block and C block. Of course, I don't know necessarily what the schedule is for that day. They have not officially put it out yet, I believe, on NJPWworld.com. Let me see here. Oh, good, they did. They just didn't give it background. So they're starting off with the B block, Casey. We've already talked about this. You know how I feel about these two in particular. Tomohiro Ishii and the Holy Emperor Taiji. I already talked to you about their records when it comes to the G1. These two have already kind of traded victories, per se. So honestly, it's a rubber. But when I think about Taiji, he's lately been out to prove a point and has adopted more of that sumo style and an honorable, more aggressive forward way of pro wrestling versus the cowboy shenanigans we used to know him for. So do you think Taiji could get it done over the Stone Pitbull this time, who last year he didn't have the strongest start, but he still came out very strong towards the end? Or does Ishii set a different pace this year and get his first 2 points?
I actually say this goes the time limit.
The time limit? Huh. They're going to knock each other's heads off.
Because I cannot call it between these two.
I mean, you know what? I can respect that. But these two have yet to have like a time limit draw. And we've kind of seen now when it comes to Taiji going the distance, he sometimes I don't think have the same like cardio endurance that Tomohiro Ishii does. I mean, you kind of saw at one point during that scramble, he was down for at least a couple of minutes. And honestly, those few seconds was the pinnacle difference between him losing and winning KLPW. If there was another 3 seconds, Taiji very well could have beat Shingo in that 10-minute scramble. But here, though, they got 3 times the time. So I'm curious what approach Taiji brings out. And I'm curious what Ishii tries to promote Taiji to bring out himself. Because at the end of the day, Ishii wants you to bring your best. Don't show him weakness. Fight me to the death. That's basically the Ishii mentality.
Hit
God
me
bless the pro
hard.
wrestler.
Hit me as hard as you can, and I'm gonna hit you harder.
Exactly. All right. Next up. Oh God. Okay, Jonah. What are you gonna do against Toru Yano for the first time ever in one-on-one singles action?
Not much, I don't think.
I'm worried about this because Yano, he's the friggin' master manipulator. He is the spoiler. This is Jonah's G1 debut, and he has to go for freaking Yano in his very first match too. Okay, good luck.
Yep, that's all we gotta say.
I really don't have anything else to say about that. Expect duct tape and turnbuckle pads to get taken off, and my anxiety to go through the roof.
Expect all the chicanery.
That's a polite way of putting it, I guess. All right. Moving on from there, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenta, the semi-main event. Like I said, these two have been at each other's crosshairs since freaking Pro Wrestling Noah in 2011. They've traded singles victories. Kenta 201, Zack Sabre Jr. beating him back to back. So Zack Sabre Jr., he's looking to get a win back that he hasn't gotten since 2019. Both these men, they have their own like ships. Kenta right now has kind of been like just floating in the middle per se, it seems. Zack Sabre Jr. though, he's had one hell of a year so far, to say the least. Winning the New Japan Cup, challenging Okada at Hyper Attack, going at Forbidden Door, challenging Claudio Castagnoli out of nowhere to a 20-minute technical classic. Former IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champion. And honestly, Dangerous Tekka's here. Both individuals, they're doing each their own way, their own thing in this year's G1, kind of redefining themselves or finding themselves once again. But your thoughts towards this match, Casey? You did say this is one of those matches you were looking out for certain reasons.
And the reason is that we are going to get an instant physical classic between these two.
These guys have gone up to 20 minutes plus sometimes against each other. You kidding me?
Oh, dude, with the gas tanks these two have, we're in for a long one.
I'll put it to you this way. Last year, G1's Climax, they went 22 minutes, and Kenta got the win.
I'm honest, and mainly because of that, I'm picking Zack here.
Yeah, you think Zack gets it back?
I think Zack gets it back.
You know what's funny though? Look at Kenta's picture here. What's he wearing on his shoulder?
Kinesio tape.
Again, exploit a target. That is the Zack Sabre Jr. way.
Yes, it is.
I would love to see him try and do some sort of like cattle mutilation. I feel like here he's going to be out to prove a point that Bryan Danielson, you are scared of me, for I am the absolute best professional technical professional wrestler on the planet. But again, we will wait and see. And last but not least, in the opening of day 2 in our main event, it will be Rampage Dragon Shingo Takagi taking on Juice Robinson. And right now, not much to say at this point besides Juice Robinson. He's out to prove that he is rock hard. He's out to stand on his own. And he's out to probably deliver a left hand of God to freaking Shingo Takagi's face. But can he do that against the man with the Yukon Lariat? Or is a pumping bomber the only difference here between Shingo Takagi and his first 2 points? Shingo Takagi, of course, he set the pace for last year's G1, coming in as the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. And their opening match was against Ishii, and the two nearly killed each other. I don't necessarily expect the same spectacle here, but I expect a game bout, to say the least.
A very game bout. I also expect a Last of the Dragon.
Yeah, I someone telling me, like you said, with distractions right now with Juice Robinson and Will Ospreay, I feel against each other will kind of be the difference maker towards this match. And again, right now, Shingo Takagi, he's going from ground zero. He's resetting himself. So we'll wait and see what this comes. And what's funny is Shingo Takagi and Juice Robinson, they really have not met each other in some sort of action of any sort since the World Tag League back in 2020. They've actually only faced each other one time in one-on-one action back in G1 Climax 2019. Juice Robinson, though, he did get the win, but that was when Shingo Takagi elevated himself from junior heavyweight to heavyweight division to test himself. And I feel like you're not going to get the same result here. I think Shingo is going to get this too. That's really all I got to say about that. But that being said, that's our two opening days, Casey. And again, folks, all of that for you guys is absolutely free. So what do you got to lose? Take a chance. Go check out New Japan Pro Wrestling yourself. Again, this weekend, set your alarms accordingly. And by the way, the July 17th show, slightly different times. 10 p.m. Pacific time, July 16th. 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for us, Casey, July 17th. And, of course, just standard time, 6 a.m. for the folks over across the pond, across the Prime Meridian. But I digress. So here we go, Casey. This is it. The most pinnacle professional wrestling tournament of the year to define who will be above the rest as we wait for a tagline, but who will be grade 1 and punch their way towards the Wrestle Kingdom main event in the Tokyo Dome. But I digress. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your predictions, your analysis, your overall takes, maybe who you hope to succeed, maybe who you think's your dark horse, maybe who you believe is going to win this whole thing too. Because right now, I can't call who's exactly going to win this thing. I feel, again, you think about Tokyo Dome, who's ready for that spot, who could handle the pressure. Okada's got to be one of your front runners. Shingo Takagi, Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr. has yet to win a G1 Climax as far as people who haven't won it. Kenta is a very valuable sort for maybe a finalist. Because, again, if you don't win this thing, just make it to the finals is an old thing, too. Several of this entire field has never even done that, Casey.
And with 28 people filling out 4 blocks, the competition is going to be stiffer than ever, especially with the roster we've got.
Yeah, considering that literally, again, it's only 7 per block, so this G1's going to feel like it's going to be moving at rapid speed because, of course, our finals will take place in the Budokan literally mid-next month. That's crazy. This feels like one of the quickest G1 climaxes in history. It's going to be ridiculous, to say the least.
Yes,
but
buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to ludicrous speed.
Well, get ready for, again, the most prolific time of being a fan of professional wrestling. And also shout out to Stardom, of course, partners on Bushiroad and New Japan Pro Wrestling. They, of course, have their 5-star Grand Prix that goes a much longer distance, to say the least, with so many great debuts and returns consecutive participants, too, in both their red and blue blocks. You can find more information on that on StardomWorld.com. If I was able to afford more time and more money to watch Stardom, I would be predicting that too, but I don't think I could do it enough justice. That's why I'm not giving a full-fledged thing here. But I will say this, Black Peach, Momo Watanabe, one of my favorites, dark horse to say the least. Asume, Mirai, and you never count Mayu Itami. And Starlight Kid, she has really come forward as a star, literally, and self-professed leader, I feel like, in Oedo Tai. But I digress. We'll talk more about Stardom maybe later this year, too. Maybe the big showcase, as you know, they announced that for one night, we will have a super show converging both NJPW and Stardom, too. Very curious how that card works out and what titles will be on the line. Shout out, of course, to the woman with the red strap in Sirai, leader of God's Eye, and the one with the white strap in Saya Kamatami. Good luck in your upcoming bouts, defending your championships as well as the entire Stardom roster, including Kyrie. So happy to see Kyrie back. Io Shirai return. But I digress. That being said, folks, that's all we got to say for now in the G1 Climax. Casey and I will definitely be back with you halfway point per our usual scheduling, too, to talk about our thoughts so far, who we think maybe could take it all the way, most surprising upsets, because I'm sure we're going to have some before the halfway point, Casey. And what's to come to. Hey, maybe we'll even come back out of the first 2 opening days, because I feel that's going to set the pace for the blocks, too. Again, you already have 2 of your pinnacle matches for 2 of your blocks. So, with that being said, Casey, always a pleasure, my friend. Anything you want to plug and promote? And last thoughts, and where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, SCTroop19. I'm on YouTube as well. Channel name is Luke Lynch. Subscribe. Do all that. I'm on Twitch, Luke12Lynch. Been doing a lot of Final Fantasy 14 lately.
Good God, that game never ends.
No, it doesn't. As is typical of MMOs.
Fair enough.
But yeah, check all that out, and yeah, you can find me. You can. You can.
You get your words out.
Yeah, but that's all, folks.
Okay, we're not trying to copyright strike. I'm not forgetting the owner of Looney Tunes.
Unfortunately.
Imagine if I owned that IP. I would have more than enough money to watch everything, go see everything wrestling. But I digress.
Right.
Anyway, continue, brother.
But yeah, you can find. Oh man, you can find me looking forward to the finals with no small amount of anticipation. It's gonna be a good one this year, ladies and gentlemen.
And definitely probably much less sleep. And again, folks, be sure to set your alarms accordingly. July 16th is the very first day of the G1 Climax on njpwworld.com, free for all with live English commentary and Japanese commentary too, because there is no language barrier when it comes to professional wrestling. But I digress. July 16th, as you see right there, 1 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard, 9 a.m. British Standard. And then the second day, of course, will be 10 p.m. Pacific, July 16th. 1 a.m. Eastern Standard, and 6 a.m. British Standard. Good Lord Almighty. Again, sleep. What is sleep? I don't know. I'm soon going to learn what it isn't. I'll tell you that much. Thank you, Casey. Always a pleasure. Folks, you want to know more about me, though? Know this. I am just a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! But I digress. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I am Foster1916 for all things wrestling. And, of course, shout out to our ATW family on Twitter. We'll be back with another ATW view, I believe, next month ahead of All Out, talking so many other things that drove us batty, and also fun things too in all things professional wrestling. I will be back on the Daily Slam, I believe, either tomorrow night or Tuesday morning, giving you, of course, the usual AEW Rampage recap and review. And of course, who knows, maybe me and Casey actually might be giving you, of course, a AEW Dynamite recap review. Stay tuned. Participants yet to be determined and scheduled yet to be determined, as well as we got the first night of Fight Fest this week, Casey. And that's sure to be an interesting show, to say the least. And of course, you can follow the ATW View on my YouTube channel. You can find the entire playlist for all the podcasts, all the collaborations with Wrestling Rundown, and so much more too. As always, I like to conclude, there are no winners, no losers, no betters. They're just fans with own opinions for this passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality too. Don't live in your phone and let social media dictate your fandom. And just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling too. It's as simple as that. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, hit the bell when this video goes live. I usually do nothing but live stuff on this channel anyway, or on demand. Hit the subscribe button, help me keep growing this channel. Shout out to all 241 of you with me on this fun YouTube creators journey. It's not lamping anytime soon. I'll just be keep doing what I can with time and mentality allows to. For the Wrestling Encyclopedia, Casey Gallagher, who I know has more Final Fans ahead of him too. I am the Superman Noah Foster, going to enjoy the rest of this bright and simple sunny Sunday afternoon. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and as always, I'd like to leave you, make a positive impact in life, and then have a good day. Of course, to come also a good night. Again, yo, and sayonara.